I will give it to this Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
That they definitely made me want to look like absolute trash, but just bedazzled as shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just like gutter punk, but just bathed in gold and jewels. So just like gutter chic.
Absolutely, Gab.
Like let my hair get greasy, mustache I can't actually grow. Get like a solid neck tattoo and like a face tattoo.
You're Mr. French stash.
Yeah, I can only grow like a nice little French.
A little Frencher, 5-minute Frencher.
With a little patch on the chin.
Yeah, that's gross.
And then it's the same thing. Like, look, just like a bajillion watches on, rings on every finger. She even has like that like palm bracelet thing.
So they really, God, they really severely botched this.
But did they botch it, or did it have the what's it called, the Snyder effect?
Now, did Snyder have something to do with the creation of this movie?
Yeah, I think he was the executive producer for this.
I guess my question would be, Snyder was making his trilogy, right?
It was for
or whatever it was.
Whatever
it was
saga.
Yeah, whatever. It was his
story. His
story.
landscape.
Yeah, it was his story.
Yeah.
Now, Suicide Squad has nothing to do with his story, but he obviously included things from his story.
I mean, they're definitely linked because this is all taking place, and they like explicitly make it clear now that Superman's not in the sky.
So I wonder what the purpose of that would be.
Is because it's just all part of the DCEU, the interconnected universe.
Were they trying at this point? I'm assuming this is DC at this point trying to do what Marvel does.
Yes, trying to do the connect. It was always supposed to launch like that. But what happened was that the response to BVS was so poor in the executive perspective. Correct. That they went in there and whatever David Ayer created, they just re-edited, rehashed, and like did what we saw.
Right.
So it really did get Suicide Squad. Technically, was the OG Justice League situation.
Correct.
Where what we got wasn't the movie that the director created.
I mean, God.
So I'm all for, if we're doing the Snyder Cut thing, fuck it. Let's do the Ayer cut.
Give us the full version of what this was supposed to be too.
All the cut Joker and Harley footage. Give me all that.
Right. I mean, look, this has a lot of good actors in it too.
Yeah, I hope the next one's not bad.
Hobbs from fucking what's it called? From Stranger Things.
Yep, Hobbs.
Is
it Hobbs? I don't know, something like that.
I think it's Hobbs.
I thought you were saying Hawk and Doss.
Shut up. And welcome to the show.
Here it goes.
17 Waverly Podcast.
Episode 67.
Episode 67 of the 17 Waverly Podcast. Here we are. We are here. We are live. Rom, Gab, and Angelo. What's up, boys?
What
Good
up?
evening.
What's going on? How's life? Another week has gone by.
You know what? I quit. I'm very much Paul Rudd in 40-Year-Old Virgin. Just
throwing the glass behind you.
Throwing the glass, hit of the cigarette, chucking it, crashing into the door. That's kind of where I'm at with all this.
I'm close. I'm close to following you down that path.
It's getting pretty wild how annoying this has all been.
I mean, it's getting really toxic.
Wow, nice segue.
My segue was actually
I saw it.
You took a swing.
And I said, like, you know what? It seems that we're in the car, but it's not really starting. And I don't know what to do, so I just decided to get out and push it a little.
You saw the pitch coming, and I took a swing.
And I took a swing. I think I hit it.
At
least a double. I at least hit a double.
I'm going to say that it was a ground ball.
A ground ball,
that
bitch.
Just squeeze through the middle.
I
there.
don't know. I'm gonna say I hit a double.
E4 Eric.
I think I hit a double right there. I just really segued nice.
What I was gonna say was we were watching Suicide Squad because the people don't know that we're watching that at the beginning of the movie.
Sure.
Well, they should know by what we're saying, but. And then I was going to mention something that has to do with Will Smith because of his character here.
Okay.
Oh.
And then I was going to transition from that to, speaking of Will Smith, some crazy shit going on with a very toxic scenario that then it was going to lead us to what the episode was about.
But see,
but
you
went straight
I
for
went
it.
straight. I took a sharp left and I parked the car right where we needed to be, which was Toxicity.
Yeah, correct.
It is definitely toxicity right now.
So this is the toxic relationship episode.
You betcha.
If you haven't already figured
Which
that
actually,
out.
then the Paul Rudd with the glass and the cigarette is also very fitting
Also
metaphor
very
for what
fitting.
we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Like we said before, we are watching Suicide Squad. I chose Suicide Squad to put on because of one of the GOAT toxic relationships, and that's Harley Quinn and the Joker. Because if you know anything about them, it's just very, very
the
trash.
best.
And it literally
good.
toxic. Doesn't she get dumped in a vat of toxic acid or some shit?
No,
Or is that Joker that does that? It depends on the story, doesn't it?
you just entered into like the beauty of the comics, politics, and the development of Harley Quinn. She doesn't get thrown in because that takes away her agency and choice in the toxic relationship.
Oh, she jumps in.
She voluntarily jumps in.
jumps in.
So
Right.
yes,
Adding to how toxic that relationship is.
it's her own choice to participate in the
right,
bullshit,
Right. So,
which I love.
I don't know what brought us to choosing this topic. I don't remember.
I think it just kind of happened, didn't it? Because the Will Smith Jada thing kind of dropped after we had already decided
Right.
that
So
we were
I
going to
guess
pursue this.
we'll start with the current news because we're
Will
going to
Jada?
we're going to get into some older movies that have been out for a while when we discuss this topic. But in recent news, Will Smith and Jada.
Okay.
Pinkett Smith.
This is one of the first time that we're diving into gossip.
Yeah, this is more gossip. We are not a gossip podcast.
Nope.
But Will Smith is somebody that we speak about a lot, an actor in a lot of movies that we discuss. So we felt that it needed attention because we did even talk about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
That's true.
And even though we are not a gossip podcast, this is
We did
something we had to
address.
bring
All
up.
right, so let's address it.
And
Let's
it
talk
fits,
about. Let's talk about
with
it.
our theme this week.
Do you want to get out the bongos, introduce me, and I'll take it away?
Yeah.
Let's go with it.
Go with it, Gab.
All right.
What
so,
happened? What happened with
Okay,
Will
so
and Jada?
let's recap real quick so we can actually get into the meat of our episode.
Correct.
So the Twitterverse was aflame, saying that Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith had an open relationship. They've been fucking a million people on the side.
Well, I feel like this was a more almost common knowledge thing with them.
About their open
Like
marriage
people,
thing?
yeah, people
But
were like,
when
it was
they-
like a known thing that like Will and Jada have had this kind of weird relationship.
But
that was open.
we can only go off of the red table, like the conversation that they had at the red table.
Right. I'm just saying that to preface what you're saying.
Yeah,
because people kind of went into this. Half of the people thought this was already an open relationship.
Right.
But what made this weird is that August Alsina came out and made it seem like it was deeper than that.
Sure. He just came out and said like that he basically
was, like,
had
in
a
love with her
and
and, like, all
had
this
something.
shit.
Right.
And then so Jada was like, well, I guess we got to address it because now the Twitterverse is aflame with his comments. And they think that, and everyone already thinks that they're in like this weird ass open relationship
Correct.
marriage.
Yeah.
So better for them to just sit down and address the elephant in the room.
Right.
Or should I say the entanglement in the room.
Bro,
And there that is. That word had to be
what a
used.
great word for her to really just pull out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I love that he wouldn't let her get away with it too. He was just like,
Exactly.
entanglement. You're an entanglement with it.
Really?
Until he like called it what it was. She called it what it was.
So August Alsina, who is an R&B singer, much younger than Jada. Like I think he's like in his 20 or late 20s, early 30s. I have no idea, but like he's not old.
No, he's like younger,
Right.
whatever.
Him and Jada did have this little thing. Why this all came out was because he came out and said in an interview, like, I messed around with Jada and we were I was in love. I'm in love with her. I was in love with her. Whatever the fuck it was. But that blew up because Will and Jada, whoever they've gotten with in the past, hasn't really been a big thing because of people assuming that they have this open relationship where they're fine.
But who else was there? Just the Margot Robbie rumors, right?
Right, it's just the Margot Robbie. But again, like this is something that I'm pretty sure has been spoken about in the past, which is why half of the people assumed, oh, well, it's in an open relationship already, so why is this a big deal?
Why is this a big deal?
Right.
Well, at the Red Table Talk thing, that's
right.
not
so
what
then
they
had. Yeah.
confirmed
So
at all.
then they after the August thing came out, everyone was flaming them and their relationship because it's like, all right, well, Jada, what the fuck are you doing? You cheated on Will, all this shit. So of course they had to clear up what was happening.
Right.
At the Red Table Talk, then they clear it up by saying whatever the hell they say, and I didn't watch it, so Gab, what did they say?
Okay, so basically, it's just that they squashed any of it being interesting.
Right.
They were like 4 years ago. So let's talk about 2016.
Yeah.
4 years ago, 2016. Will was done with Jada. He said he
Right.
basically kicked her to the curb and that they were done. That he dumped her. It was
Okay.
over. He didn't want anything left to do with her.
Okay.
And then it felt very like that. It wasn't a break.
It wasn't a break, yeah.
It wasn't a break. It was a breakup.
Right,
It was
breakup.
going to be indefinite.
He
So,
banged Margot Robbie.
speculation. We don't know if he banged Margot
Oh, he
Robbie,
did.
but 4
He did.
years ago, was it the production time of Suicide Squad? Yes.
Fitting that we're watching
So,
Suicide Squad.
the scene of the crime,
Yeah.
if the alleged crime.
They definitely did.
Okay, so I need to see I need to see them in an interview together. So I need to see some
I
chemistry.
mean, there's some pictures out, not like
There's some pictures,
there's some
and then
pictures
there's,
where they're like very canoodly.
there was like that.
you know.
You know, there's that thing that there was like they did like an interview and like he like touches her thigh in like a weird way, and she's all
There's
giddy about
There's some
it.
evidence on the internet there. Of
All right.
some-
Well, during
There was an
during
entanglement.
during the Suicide Squad
Yeah, sure.
hump, whatever.
Right.
I was trying to think of a porn title with Suicide Squad, like a porn pun for Suicide Squad, but I couldn't
Suicide Squirt.
get Suicide. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. But we'll get back to it. That would have been around the same time. But the thing is, if he had dumped her, like if they were broken up, that's not cheating, y'all. That's I'm done with this relationship,
Right.
And rebound sex was had.
Right.
Right, and if anyone in a shitty situation where you just lost a relationship or you feels like you're dumped and you're feeling really lonely, what are you gonna do? You're gonna try to fall on a penis. Like that's just what
Yeah, of course,
that's
sure.
natural.
No, that's fair.
And same thing with guys, just really like I'm gonna basically playing a Ronnie.
Yes. Sure.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
fuck all
there you
these
go.
bitches.
Basically, in the movie Crazy Stupid Love, when Steve Carell, his character, his wife wants a divorce. She tells him that she cheated on him. So then he links up with Ryan Gosling, who then teaches him how to bang chicks. So then he bangs like 15 chicks.
Right.
Right. Right.
It's all out of pain.
It's all out of pain. Because then later,
It's
after
suffering
he banged
sex.
the 10 chicks, he comes back and he's like, it was all like
Empty.
I was empty. I couldn't like.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
still
It's
need
it's
you.
numb suffering sex. It's
Right.
just it's depressed masturbation with a body.
Right.
So it's
okay.
it's not anything.
But I
It's
feel
just more like a dark
I feel like
habit
at that
that you're
point
getting.
we can get into the conversation of how do guys handle the significant other cheating
violently
compared to girls? You know what I mean?
That's like
Not fucking well.
here's the thing. Like
I mean, obviously we don't have a girl on the pod, so we obviously
we
don't.
can't speak for women,
But,
but traditionally speaking,
Yeah.
it does dangerously. Like guys can
That's a
act.
good way of putting it.
Men can react very dangerously in those kind of. I think it goes back to Childish Gambino's actual name is
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, he did a stand-up thing where he's talking about, you know how like when you always hear about like the crazy girlfriend, and like, the crazy girlfriend, like, oh yeah, she's nuts, she did this and that, but you never hear about a crazy boyfriend. Do you want to know why? Ladies, because when you have a crazy boyfriend, you die.
Yes,
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But I get the job.
It's true. It's true. It's like the crazy thing. Girls was like, oh, she keyed your car. What's some of the worst you've heard guys do? Put dumb gasoline on them and set them on fire. Like it's
legit murder. Yeah,
it's a very
there have been cases of girls committing heinous murderous acts. But
sure.
it's more often than not the guy's the one doing it.
I think you're just more physically threatening for a male. But anyway, so it really took a tangent there.
Yeah, so...
so basically, at the end of the day, the conversation was she got into, quote unquote, an entanglement with a guy.
She called her relationship with August an entanglement. Okay.
Of the bodies. And
sure.
It would happen when they were separated. So it's like, it's not a cheating thing. Right. Also, and to me, it became very clear... it didn't seem, at least publicly, that they were saying they were in some kind of open marriage.
Right.
That's not. Also, I said this before off the podcast. I'll say it again right now. I do not believe in open marriages. That's bullshit. Do you want to know what an open marriage is? An open marriage is for really hot rich people. Why? Because options are throwing themselves at you constantly, and you're not really mortal because you have infinite resources of cash, and you're extremely beautiful.
It's possible.
So you just want to be. So when those little temptations come around, you still want to have your main like power couple situation.
All right.
These people are throwing themselves at you. I can imagine that's a very tricky thing to deal with.
To navigate, yeah.
Okay. So the open marriage, if you're like a mere mortal, like say these three young men sitting right here, like open marriage my ass. Just say you don't love the person and like get out of it. Like that's what that is.
Yeah, but what if they do love the person and they what if the scenario is this? They love the person, right? And physically, they want to do more things because that's just what they want to do.
With other people.
Yeah. But their emotional ties are to that one person.
I really like that.
Because you can do physical things with somebody and not be emotionally tied.
I just want to say, like, as just a side note.
That was just a devil's advocate
I know, it was a devil's advocate argument.
This does not mean I speak this way, think this way. Stacey's in the other room. She's not hearing me, but I have just, you know.
Your disclaimer. Yeah, got it, for legal purposes. Look, for that stuff, then you have to be honest about what it is you're actually going to compromise on or where you're going to be able to stand.
Yeah.
I think that those rules in a relationship in your 20s is very different from the rules of perhaps in your relationship in your 40s after you've been in it for decades.
Correct.
Maybe your expectations or even what you care about has shifted. Maybe when you're 25, it's like, if you fucking cheat me, I swear to God, I'll cut your balls off. And then by 45, 20 years later with kids, mortgage, and all that stuff, you find out he's cheating, and you just go, all right, well, give me her number. She can at least pay the electric bill. Like,
it's one of those things where, I agree. It's very different at different stages of your life.
Of life, yeah.
It depends where you are. But you have to be honest. You have to be honest about what you're coming into.
If we're 60 years old, 50 years old, let's go 50 because 60 is a little too old.
50 is a new 30, man.
Because 50 you can still kind of go to Florida, go to MILF bars.
Yeah, you're not dead.
Sure, you're not dead.
Like,
if you're keeping
chicks.
it together.
Right.
Did you say a MILF bar?
MILF bars,
MILF bar.
MILF?
MILF, not milk. Not milk bar
not
like
leche.
the dessert place. I mean MILF
Cougars.
bars, like cougar bars.
Wait. Those exist?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Severely, all over Florida.
Florida's a fucking weird place, man.
We went to one by accident with a family.
Yes.
And then Ramses and I were sitting down, and then I'm wearing a Yankees hat, and a cougar just comes up to me and she goes like,
"Oh yeah,
that's a great team." and she adjusts the hat on my head and gets really close, and just my gay 5'6" ass is like,
"Oh God, it was good. It was good."
I was like,
yeah. So those exist. So I'm saying when you're 50 plus, and you go to these bars, because I've lived in Florida. I've experienced and seen what these older people do.
This is all fun. You're not dead.
It's their second life. It's
you
their
still have a
second
libido.
life.
Yeah, you still have a libido. Like
So
that's
they're going out and they're doing
smash.
They're throwing drinks. They're getting crazy and they're 50 plus, 60
But look,
plus.
that also comes down to because that's probably post kids out of the nest.
Correct.
And
So
now
by
you
that
want to get
point-
freaky.
Right. By that point, that's when you start getting into these people doing swingers type
Right.
shit.
I was gonna say, yeah, man,
or
these
open
swingers.
relationship type
Look,
shit.
at the end of the day, there is no one size fit all, and no relationship stays constant in its original contract.
Right.
That's not true.
it's more rare for it to be a constant for your whole life.
It can't.
Nowadays.
It can't be, because that's the problem with this this fantasy of happiness within relationships. And we'll start with the movies at some point. Maybe this can help a segue. We think it's this thing of get it to that place of happiness,
Right.
and once you're at that place, hold your breath, white knuckle this shit, and don't anybody move so that we don't lose it where we've just achieved this
Right.
happiness.
Right.
That's not possible. You are both
No way.
individuals, constantly shifting, evolving, moving,
Correct.
and you do have to constantly be checking in with each other to be like, you good? You still good? We're good?
Right.
Okay, good. You do have to keep doing that, because you can't, a relationship's value is not defined by its longevity. You could be 10 years into a marriage that absolutely fucking makes you both miserable. All
Yeah.
because you didn't have the courage to address elephants in the room and have some
Absolutely.
uncomfortable conversations.
I've been in relationships where they
You were carrying a dead
3
corpse.
years longer than they needed to be because I just didn't feel like dealing with the conversation of, well, I don't really want to be with you anymore.
Exactly. So you have, and that's a shifting thing. We don't own anybody.
Yeah.
Love does not mean ownership. That's your ego.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
So that's why when it comes to the open marriage conversation and people get so alarmed and threatened by it, I think A, it's not your relationship, so who really cares? It's a celebrity relationship. And B, why does it scare you so much? It's because what's threatening about it is the idea. It's because it reinforces the idea someone can love me, someone can put a ring on their finger for me, but I don't own them.
Right.
And they are not eternally committed. It's their choice if they want to keep that promise, but I don't get to control all the things they do, or if and when they fall out of love with me.
True.
That's
also correct.
That's out of my control.
Yeah.
So, which makes relationships the scariest fucking shit on earth.
Yeah. I mean, and what we want to do with today's episode is highlight the ones that are not the perfect relationships, not the ones that end in a happy-go-lucky scenario, because those do exist, and sometimes that's just what you need to do.
I think that on those points, the good movie to start with would probably be 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more that we talked about this subject, I think that's a good one to lead off with.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. 500 Days of Summer, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, which Gordon
Zoe.
Levitt is in this one?
Yeah.
It's Joey?
Yeah, Joey.
Joey and Zoe.
Zoe Deschanel. Yeah, so... Jesus, I don't even know where to start with this one.
May I?
Yeah, you can go ahead, because
Sorry, because this movie was biblical.
Biblical, wow.
This is a biblical one. This is kind of one of those. They should probably show it in health class. So 500 Days of Summer is about a guy who absolutely fucking hates his life. He's about an inch away from taking a shot of bleach, and he's at work, hating his job, hating life, and
he's not doing what he wants to do.
He wants to.
No,
Yeah,
clear from the
he's
beginning.
working for like a greeting card company, and he wants
Yeah,
to be
greeting
the
card
architect,
company.
obviously.
Yeah.
The state of his life is not what he would ultimately like it to be.
Right.
But he's also waiting around for the one to show up. He believes in the eternal happiness of love, and that it's this fate moment that you're waiting for when the right person comes along. In enters Zooey Deschanel, a new hire at the company. Her name is Summer, and he instantly falls madly in love with her, and so begins the 500 days of their relationship and the ups and downs of it. You're looking at this relationship really through the lens of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Tom.
Yes.
He's the lens that you're looking at it through.
Yes, because you don't really get
Summer's
you do
perspective.
a little bit her perspective towards the end.
Yeah, I was going to say more towards
end.
the end, you start picking up on her.
But the main focus here is him because you start with him and that's
his
how it
participation
ends.
in the relationship, right? So as time goes on, they do develop a romantic relationship. But the biggest caveat here, she says, we've heard this before a million times, I'm not looking for anything serious. I just want to have fun.
And this is like not even this conversation that they have is before they even
exactly.
hook up.
I think
they're at a bar.
Yeah.
And they're just like talking about relationships with like their other friend, and then the conversation comes up, and then that's when she says, "I don't really fuck with that shit.
Like I don't believe in it. Like
and
I'm
he
good
goes,
with it,
yeah, and he's like, well, I mean, I'm all about soulmate bullshit.
Right.
So right there from the get go,
they're not on the same
completely
page.
different people
Right.
here.
Yeah.
And
they have their commonality, their shared interest.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this specific page in the fucking guidebook, they're not on the same one.
And he tries to go the whole friend route with her, and you could just tell she's fine with the whole being friends thing.
Yeah.
He, on the other hand, is misinterpreting it for something that it's not. You know, and then they have that blowout fight.
But then here's the thing. So once their little relationship starts and kind of like starts to snowball, because it really just becomes a snowball, because even though she tells him, I don't want to do anything, I want to just I don't want to be anything.
I don't want anything serious. I'm not looking for anything like that.
I don't want anything serious. Okay, that's fine. You know, whatever. And then I think doesn't he tell her, like before she kisses him in the copy room for the first time.
Yeah.
The night before that is when they have a little bit of an argument about.
No, the kiss at their argument happens after they've already been
together because they
stuff.
had already have slept together at that point, and
they'd been doing couple. Yeah, they had.
I think no, but they have the discussion that they had the night of the karaoke bar.
That was about love.
That was about love.
That was about love. And then at the end of the night, they're outside the bar and they're like talking to each other, and then she's like, "I'm gonna go," and then the next day she kisses him in the copy room.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, but here's the thing. Okay, so this is my thing with it. Because people on Twitter and stuff with this movie in particular, like who's the actual villain?
Yeah.
It's a relationship. Both are equally the villain.
Right.
Both are equally the good
Correct.
guy. It's 50-50 in all those situations, unless it's a hostage scenario.
Right. People love to like choose sides. So
and
of
it's
course
not,
it's the internet. The internet is the ultimate toxic place.
Hey, yes, it is.
But we love you, internet. Thanks for listening.
No, of course we love everyone.
But right. So the problem there is from the get-go, both people said what they were into or what they were willing to accept.
Yeah.
Neither of them respected those boundaries.
Neither one.
Because she kissed him, which is a mixed signal for a guy who believes in fate
Correct.
and destiny and true love, which is going to send him into a spiral.
Yep.
And then and then he doesn't understand that she's doing exactly what she said she was going to do.
She
I'm
likes
all
to
about having fun.
live life,
She likes to do
on the fringe.
She likes to do what she likes. You know, that's what she said.
Yeah.
And then they were doing their little hookup shenanigans.
Right.
So they were doomed from the get-go for that reason.
Right. So then months go by. Everything seems normal, and then I kind of just one day it feels like it's still they show it like it's like a one day randomly she's like all of a sudden checked out.
They go see that movie or something, and you could tell that whatever's I don't know what movie they go see. I do know
It's some movie that she I don't remember what movie it is either. Whatever.
The Greg Focker's dad from Meet the Fockers. I can't believe I can't give him a name right now. It's
it's Coño tu madre, what's his name? The guy from we're talking about the movie that they go see in theaters, and the guy is very young.
I'm sure that movie's a very popular film.
I thought it was Panic in Needle Park, but it wasn't.
I keep thinking that it's fucking Dennis Quaid. It's not Dennis Quaid.
It's definitely not Dennis Quaid.
It's not. It's also not. Oh
Al Pacino.
No,
Not Al Pacino. It's not Al Pacino.
He's the dad in Meet the Fockers.
The dad of Meet the Fockers.
I don't know that actor's name.
God, why is this hurting?
Just look for Meet the Fockers cast.
Well,
Anyway,
Anyway.
see that movie, she becomes like very, very like upset by it. You know.
Right. You makes it. The movie makes you feel like at that. In all of a sudden, it's like boom. You watch this like montage of them growing this relationship and like being all lovey dovey. Then all of a sudden, and you what is it?
It's called The Graduate, and it stars Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin
And,
Man.
Catherine Ross.
Jesus. Gotcha. Okay. So the movie, so the movie takes you to into this. You forget about the conversation that they had,
Right.
Because you're now deeper into their relationship, and you see how lovey-dovey they are with
They
each
go to
other.
IKEA on
You're like,
dates
oh wow,
and stuff. You know,
this is great. Yeah, like this shit turned out great. You forget the conversation that they had. Everything's great, and then all of a sudden, boom. You realize they make you think that all of a sudden she just flips a switch and she's out of it.
Right.
But later on, towards the end, you kind of start to see that it was a more gradual thing. She got caught up in the relationship, but it wasn't he wasn't the one that she wanted to continue with, I guess.
And it was at that moment, like Vico said, watching the movie, where it really clicked for her that it wasn't the person.
Right. Like he wasn't going to be
right.
the one.
Like he's transcended by the romance happening on the screen, but she's realizing, I think, that
I don't feel this for that guy.
Exactly. I want this, but I know it's not with him. And I think she alludes to that near the end of the film when they meet up with each other after some time has happened.
Yeah.
And she basically, like, he's like coming at her being like, I don't understand how you were telling me that you don't want to be in a relationship. Now you're engaged. Now you're pregnant. Like you, it's hard for me to make sense of it. And she basically just tells him, like, I woke up one morning and I thought, I realized that basically all the things I wanted weren't going to be accomplished with you. And it was like a real dagger to the heart. But I think that's something that needed to be said. I think that was a really real moment in the movie, because I feel like so many people do go through that, and so many people do feel that, and a lot of people don't go on, like, don't carry on with their thoughts. They might just settle because they're comfortable with such things. I don't know.
True. Yeah.
But that, I think,
Yeah.
that whole end of the movie, I think, was really powerful.
No, it's crazy because you kind of watch it and then you realize, the whole time I'm just going back and forth, like, all right, he's an idiot for doing this, she's an idiot for doing this. Towards the end, the scene where they see each other. This is after they broke up. They see each other and then they go to the wedding together.
Oh, that's right. They go to that wedding.
And she basically treats the wedding like a date. And this is after he had already been through the miserable, like, period of a breakup where you become depressed and you're, like, just fucking miserable for however long. And then he finally broke out of it. He was on the train. He's chilling. He's got his suit ready to rock. And then he sees her, and then he has to go hang out with her again. And she acts like everything's cool, everything's lovey-dovey again. And then the next fucking, like, whatever week or whatever, she invites him to a party at her apartment, and she's engaged. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, and I think that's something he calls her out on. It's like, why did you treat it like it was all good? Why did you dance at me at the wedding when this guy was in your life? Why did you invite me to this party? And it's like she was just being like, I was just doing what I wanted to. Like, I wanted to dance with you. I wanted you to come hang out. Like, it wasn't. Again, he built it up to be something that it wasn't. That's why that expectation versus reality split screen that was going on at the party was
nuts,
really good.
Great scene.
Well, it's also, agreed. And it's also the fact that you have to believe people when they tell you something. We all want, and I think it's a very common mistake you see in relationships today where you get caught up in the whim of it. Someone says, "Oh, I'm not looking for anything serious," and then it becomes
serious.
Oh, so it's a challenge. No, it's not. It's not a challenge. It's they're telling you point blank in the period, "I'm not looking for anything serious." So she's obviously a person who, as she approaches things, she does it. She's very intentional about what I'm doing at this moment is because I feel like doing this right now.
Right.
There's no deeper meaning to it.
I still think it's.
I think it's disrespectful on her part, regardless.
Way more fucked up what she did. That particular scene. The movie itself, they both have their faults. I get it. The relationship is fucked up. Like it didn't start correctly. They didn't listen to each other. He was already depressed.
Right.
Like there's a lot of faults for both. So I don't really fault either of them for the relationship ending.
To be honest, there's that scene that he hits that guy at the bar because she's like, "Oh, I can't believe that this is your boyfriend or whatever," and he hits him.
Yeah.
And then they get into that argument at her house where I think he used it. What was the term that he used? He's like, I deserve some input in this whole thing also. But
right.
I was like, that's where he kind of lost me because I'm like, well, homie, like you knew her input in this whole thing. Yeah. Like just because you guys might have been doing some couple of things, she point blank told you what her deal was, man. So like you're entitled to your input, but you also got to know, like read the room here, like understand where you are.
Yeah.
And you can't dictate. Again, you don't get to dictate anything. You get to say what you want and what you need. The other person then has the agency to say if they're willing or able to meet what you're saying you want and you need.
Right.
That's it. You don't get Pico, the fight at that night when he's like, you can't be doing all this stuff and then not call it a relationship. We're doing all these relationship-y things. The point, that's even almost a superficial level thing because what you're getting hung up about is the label of what you're experiencing. Right. You're not paying attention to the experience of what you're experiencing.
True.
Which is you're not on the same fucking page.
Yep.
And she tells him at the end of that fight something that's probably soul-crushing for many, but she needed to say it when she goes to apologize, and he's like, I just don't want to wake up one morning and then you feel a different way, and like all of a sudden you just feel a different way the next morning. And she's like, I can't give that to you. No one can.
Right.
And that's a huge fact. You can't. That's why it's tough, right? Because a real relationship, if it can become real,
you can't force someone to still love you tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like
no.
You're like if I'm in a relationship and the person the next day goes, well,
I'm out of it.
I'm out of it.
You're out of it.
What the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna hold her hostage,
no.
and tie her down to a chair, and be like, you have to love me.
I mean, that is some toxic shit, but no, that's not. You can't do that.
But but then people try to do that.
But that's how But that's the thing. That's when relationships become toxic.
Yes,
is when you do not recognize that time of death was called, and now what you're carrying around is a dead body.
And that it becomes that towards the end of their relationship.
It does,
because
right?
She is a dead body at that point.
Well, she's bored with it.
He doesn't recognize.
He's not picking up on any of that
because
he's in his fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's so lost and caught up in his bullshit that he doesn't see that she's out the fuck out of it.
Right. The biggest lesson, because I'm not sure how long.
I think, not to cut you off, is his biggest, like the thing that pisses me off about him the most was that. Read the room, my guy. Pay attention to what's happening.
And to like, I'm not sure how long we've been on this one movie, but like,
we can end with this.
My final 2 cents with it is for the end of the film, for like the last chunk of it, it communicates the ultimate lesson to it. And this is the part I know people don't want to fucking listen to, and they want to resist it with all their fucking might. Mm-hmm. You need to recognize when are your dreams or fantasies and hopes for the arrival of your special someone romantic partner legit, or is what you're doing placing the responsibility of your life's happiness and expectation for joy into the hands of a stranger you don't know simply because you are too afraid to make choices and make efforts to create a condition for your life that will actually make you content.
Make your own life, make your own happiness.
It's your job. No
Yeah,
one else is.
correct.
It's not anyone else's job
Right.
to make you
Your
happy.
own happiness is going to come from you doing things,
Yes.
you improving
Right.
your life.
So he makes a whole thing about fate, and I say, and I wrote this for our website, replace the word fated with serendipity. It's better. Why? Because when we say fate, it has the same plague to it that we say with fate has the same plague that soulmate has. We think that it removes our responsibility in those situations to make them work.
Yeah.
Fate. The word fate just makes it seem so end all be all.
End all be all.
that's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so. It's
And
so
but
definite.
But even with him, he was in the beginning of the movie spewing that like, oh, it's fate, it's destiny, and then when he's like, well, why don't you just ask her out? And he's like, that's stupid, because you think there's something about that illness of fatedness that you think you don't have to do anything. This is going to take care of itself,
Right.
and that's not the way it works. You're two people. You say what you want and say
Right.
what you need, and then you go off of that. So he realized by the end of the movie. After he's brokenhearted and he starts to actually comb his fucking hair,
yeah.
and realize that he's not happy with his life as it is, that he's going to make some different choices, and that's where serendipity happens, and he meets another woman who's sitting there at the thing. What I say about serendipity is that I do believe in, and why I like that word is because it's about coincidence, but it's a beautiful coincidence. It's something, so it's a very positive coincidence.
Yes.
But with those coincidences, you have to recognize that you do have responsibility in them, as in, are you going to meet the moment? Because that's what all it is. Those you get brief moments, and you can feel it. We've all felt it. Angela and yourself included, any person has felt it. That comes a moment, these very rare moments, where you feel a hint of fear, but it's something you really want to do, and you got a moment to decide if you're going to take the jump.
Absolutely.
Take the plunge.
Yeah.
Take the plunge. Those are those rare moments in life where they're calling you. You're being called to
act,
this
if
is
you
it.
will.
Yeah.
To act. And those really worth it moments require those 10
Love that,
seconds
yeah.
of courage.
Very true.
So that's why I think I really appreciated that. The happiness thing, for sure. You're responsible for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna. I'm someone that I believe in, and you attract what you
Put out,
what
yeah.
you put out. So
For sure.
if you're in a shitty, depressive, awful state of mind where nothing is making you happy, you're not making yourself happy. How the fuck are you gonna also sit there and say, yeah, well, I'm waiting for that one person that's gonna make me happy and change my life.
By masturbating in your room with what is that
You know
going to
what I
do?
mean? That's not gonna happen.
Right.
You have to make your life
Right.
better, make your own life positive, and then
Enjoy
through
it.
that process, you enjoying your life, someone will show up that'll
Compliment it.
only help
Exactly.
make it even
It'll
better.
compliment it.
It's like, that's the word. Pico said the
Compliment,
word.
yeah.
Compliment.
It's a compliment to your
Yeah.
life. It's not this thing of like, oh my God, will they, won't they? It's not this thing of like, oh my God, so much of my life depends on them.
Yeah.
It's that it's already a really great afternoon,
You don't
and they
have
just
to- you
happen to be there.
You don't want to have to depend on someone else for something.
That's called codependency, correct?
You don't want
to do
that.
that.
That's
not gonna work.
toxic.
That's toxic.
and that is exactly what we are talking about today.
Next
That
movie.
is why we're going to move on to the next toxic movie, The Breakup.
I love this movie.
Though I touched this from Mel before, I don't really consider this movie to be a toxic relationship.
It's
I mean, sure, I get. Well,
I mean, it's
their breakup's a little
the more I'm
toxic.
thinking about it, I mean, because we just watched it, and it's 500 Days of Summer is very similar. The only thing is that we don't get the clues for this movie that led to the breakup, like we did in 500 Days of Summer.
we just have, we're just
We
dumped
just get
in the
we
breakup.
get dumped
Like,
into the
like
breakup.
present day, their relationship, what's
Right.
going on, yeah.
We don't get the clues, but we do get some little things here and there through their breakup that we learn
Yeah.
about them that cause.
Well,
them.
you know who drops the bomb on Vince Vaughn in this movie is the always impressive Jon Favreau.
Absolutely,
It was just literally
absolutely 100%.
John-
anything
so
he
hilarious.
touches is fucking amazing.
Kills this fucking movie. My favorite scene in the movie is the one with Jon Favreau and him
At the bar,
At the bar.
like make some
yeah.
phone calls after 9 o'clock.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
just do something. Make a couple calls.
I really don't want you to do anything. I really don't want you to do anything. No, I know.
No, he's like, say it louder. Say it louder.
I'm serious. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. You're not gonna.
Amazing. But he tells him like in one of those scenes he tells Vince Vaughn like all the shit that like he does wrong basically, and that Vince doesn't realize it. It's like oh shit, and at that point it's already too late.
It's too late. Correct. So if you haven't seen the Breakup, you really should see the Breakup. Very quickly, it's about a couple. The movie starts with them meeting. You get a quick montage of their happy relationship for however many months or years, how long it is. And then it cuts right to the first major scene of the movie where they are living together. They own a condo together.
Beautiful place.
And he comes home from work. She's preparing a dinner because their parents are going to meet or see each other for one of the very rare times that both of their parents are going to come to dinner and hang out with each other. With all of them.
And wasn't there something to like the main argument that goes on here is like about lemons or something? It was something stupid.
Well,
or
it's just the first spark. It's that she asks him to get 12 lemons for some kind of arrangement, and he brings home like 5.
Right.
They wanted 12. They wanted 12.
Yeah. So then she gets pissed off about that, and then then the dinner starts. She's telling him, hey, like, can you go get ready or, like, help me set the table? He says, let me get 20 minutes to sit down and relax. I just got home from work.
And is they playing Vice City or some shit?
No, he's watching a baseball game in this scene. And he's like, let me just, like, finish after this inning. And then she's like, well, what happens, like, what's going to happen is they're going to get here. You're going to be showering, and I have to entertain them and finish dinner. So go do that now before they get here. Of course, they arrive, and then his immediate reaction is, I have to go shower. So that kind of sparks the fight, but they don't fight until then the parents leave, and then they causes this big blow up where they start dropping all the things that they each do wrong. And again, this is one of those things where the movie could have been avoided had this one thing happen where they get into this fight. And at the end of the fight, she says, like, fuck you, I'm done.
Right.
She goes to their room. He stays in the living room and just, like, sits there. And then she's clearly, very obviously, waiting for him to go into the room and, like, talk it out.
Even if you argue more there, at least you're showing the initiative that you kind of want to commend.
You're having the conversation, too.
Yeah.
And instead, he walks the fuck out and goes to a bar.
Yeah, you know what?
And then
I was going to say, like, when you watch this movie, it literally could have been roll credits right after that. Of course, that wouldn't have been fun for us.
Even if the scene had continued and they did break up after the scene, like if he had gone into the room and helped her and talked to her, it still wouldn't have been as messy
as it turned out.
I don't think. As it turned out to be because of how they handled it, of how he didn't go.
Oh, wait, are you saying like that they would have broken up at the beginning?
They might have.
No, I don't think that they would.
I thought they really enjoyed each other. That's the vibe I got.
I think that all she wanted was for him to show that he gave a shit.
What they were in was in a rut, and then they just, with all their poor choices, led to the breakup.
Yeah, honestly, what are you doing?
So then what happens is, but in that particular scene, I in my opinion, even if, which I don't think would have happened, but even if they talked it out for however long, and at the final conclusion was a mutual, yeah, we should probably call this.
Mm-hmm. My thing is like
messy.
My thing is like watching them, because you like with all relationships, you got to recognize what's a bottom line thing. Like if this gets crossed, it's definitely dead.
Right.
As opposed to, well, this is a funky fucking state we're in. How do we address this?
Right.
And I think for them, it was more than anything, we're in a funky fucking state. Mm-hmm. Like she just didn't feel appreciated, and he was really comfortable in his scenario and wasn't appreciating the woman that he had in his life.
Correct.
That's all they were. Because I agree with Fico. They enjoyed each other very much.
Yes.
He pulls a Mr. Steal Your Girl to like get her. Like she's like with somebody at a baseball game. Yeah, he's like ordering her hot dogs, gets her nut. Like it's like she was definitely into him. And then you see how the relationship progresses. It's like, all right, yeah.
While she's on a date with another guy, that's how he gets her.
Are you kidding me? That's how you get me. That's great. Like that's the kind of shit you want to see.
So like you understand and you see that they obviously have something there, but again, it's just like his lack of understanding where they are at in the relationship and how the scenario is going,
Right.
causes her to be pissed.
Right.
And then her typical girls, I'm going to say this because I've been in a relationship and this has happened to me.
Ooh, ladies.
This is typical girls sometimes.
All right, spit it out now.
Assuming that we know what the fuck they're thinking.
Okay, that's fair.
And that is her issue here. She expects him to know exactly how she's thinking so that he should be avoiding the fights because he should be doing the things that she's thinking he should do. You know what I mean?
And in her, I'm not trying to defend her. In that whole the whole mind reading thing, it's also, you gotta recognize, because Fico mentioning like the lemons, you gotta recognize when, you gotta be able to pause and go, am I really getting this anger about lemons or am I angry about something else?
Right.
And I think that's exactly what it is. Like the scale tipped. Like she was upset about his immaturity, his wanting to go the extra mile for the relationship. Just a bunch of these little things that build up over time. And the lemon, unfortunately, and the fact that I think he didn't help her clean up after the party.
Right.
I think that finally hit its boiling point. But by no means did I think she ever wanted to actually break up with him, and same on his part. But I think they were just both so stubborn and hard-headed about it. It's like,
right. It just it came down to lack of to me, it was just like, it just comes down to the lack of understanding what the other person is thinking.
Because what's the key to any relationship of any kind?
communication, baby. You just gotta know how to communicate.
If you're not talking it out, I mean, granted, it seemed like she was saying some things, but either way, again, like, she wasn't saying something. She wasn't because
she was being ego.
Right. Because her saying, you never take me to the ballet.
That's not what you mean. That's not what you want to say.
But like,
what you have to say what you really mean. When you're in here's the thing, it's like, when you're in those kind of, I really think with any relationship, you need to be able to practice sincerity and vulnerability.
Right.
You don't care about it. You go deeper and be sincere. You're not saying, and you're saying it out of rage, right?
Right.
And this isn't a criticism. Everyone goes through their relationships and how they go about them, and they learn how to do them better. But for that's a particular lesson moment where she should have started with what she ended up doing at the end of the movie when she's tired.
Right.
I just feel like you don't appreciate me. I feel like I do all of these things, and I don't see any effort from you, but I feel like I'm giving 110%.
Right.
That's a sincere statement. And
Yeah,
even
of
for his
course.
part, he's not a monster. He obviously is going to react to your sincerity and your being vulnerable with him of what you're trying to communicate.
It's not like he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't love you because you guys have been in this relationship for this long.
Right. He just took it for granted.
Right. He got comfortable in his own of her not saying anything to him.
Right.
So he's like, all right, well, I'm chilling.
Right. You got to have those communications.
You know
Be
what I
like,
mean?
look, I really appreciate. You have to be able to do those
Right.
things.
Because, for example, if I'm in a relationship and the other person, I'm bored, right? I'm like, fuck, I want to do something. Like we haven't done shit in the past like fucking 2 months. It's been 8 weekends and we haven't done shit. So what am I doing? I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for my significant other to come up to me and go, hey, I've got a plan. Let's go do this weekend. Sometimes either you say, hey, what the fuck have we been doing the past 2 months?
Right.
Because then the other person is like, maybe the other person doesn't like doing those things. But at some point, if you're comfortable, if they're understanding, oh, well, that person's fine with not doing anything for 2 months, so I'm chilling.
No.
Because I like doing this.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to. It's a
You know what I mean?
relationship.
It's a relationship, so you have to you have to talk it out. Say, hey,
Right.
I understand. I know that you're more of a homebody, but I'm bored. I haven't done shit in 2 months.
Right. Like
We
for
gotta
me,
do something.
I'm not I say I'm like a homebody, but it's not necessarily that I'm a voluntary homebody. I just don't mind being home.
Yeah.
But I do want to be
Well, at a certain point, you reach limits.
Right.
You want to do stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, just because I don't know how to go about fun and stuff like that a lot of times,
Right.
Yeah, I'm like I hope for like someone who's a little bit more outgoing and has more ideas in that. But you do have to be willing to do stuff that you're not normally willing to do. Correct. Like baseball games.
Baseball games, baby.
But I mean,
God damn it. After an inning, I'm like, can we leave?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
there's got to be some compromise. It's
obvious.
Compromise, yeah.
And like this movie, it's great because it obviously the comedy here is how exaggeratedly toxic the breakup becomes. This like the scene where he and him and her are playing fucking Pictionary, and he just gets fucking fuming mad because she can't draw the goddamn sock.
Yeah. Oh. Yo, but how bad is that when a relationship is so dead and they decide to bring everyone down with them?
Yeah.
Where they make all of their friends and everyone witness to it, and it's just like, sweetheart, this is my only Friday night. I'm out.
Right.
You guys got to end this on your own terms. Like, this is just ugly.
Yeah, it's bad. It's awful. So it's like, you kind of just have to just relationships and breakups really are tough, and I would hate to ever be in a scenario where I break up with someone and I have to live with them.
Right.
Because that would be extremely uncomfortable.
And it starts getting that way in this movie.
Yeah.
It starts getting that way.
Well, because like then they're each kind of just like doing things at each other. Granted, I think this is an extreme scenario.
Absolutely.
But it's still really kind of fucked up. Like, if you've been in a relationship with someone for a long time, like you're friends with Brianna's friends, right? So like you befriend their friends.
Yeah.
So then now you've got this awkward scenario where you've sharing friends, and it's like,
well, this is also why. But this is why I also think it's kind of an insincere society in a way with how we try. I just feel like we really try to put really solid drawn boundaries and constructs around how we engage our relationships. Like even with the mutual friends thing, I'm like, you need to all be adults. If they were friends that you guys made while you were a couple, then shut the fuck up. Everyone can still be friends. It's just that you guys need to be adults about how. Depends on how the relationship ends, but you should still be able to hold a relationship with other, because again, you don't own anyone,
right?
And I don't mean that for partners. I mean that for friends too. Other people's actions. So
if you have a
not
nasty breakup with someone,
okay, I don't know if this is going already, but okay.
If you have a nasty breakup with someone,
what did he do?
It was mutual. It was a mutual thing. You guys broke up. You guys both pissed each other off, and you're like, what, this ain't working.
No, you piss each other off. No.
We piss each other off.
All right,
we piss each other off. Okay,
you piss each other off. Either you did something, they did something, whoever it is.
Okay.
But you both have a very good, strong group of friends, but the majority you met with him because you don't have any friends, right?
You're a bitch.
Wow. This is just a scenario. This is just a scenario. I'm not saying he doesn't have friends. He does have friends. But this is just a scenario.
Jesus Christ. Fico's literally, viewers can't see, but Armel's literally just like, Fico's like, gasping right now, like clutching his mouth like a reality show.
Okay. Are you going to continue to hang out with them, even though he's?
Yeah, but that okay,
you know what I mean?
But that has multiple levels. If one of the
not going to be there,
no. That's so beside that. God, what is it? 7th grade? Kind of fucking shit. Like, but is Tommy going to be there?
Well,
no. First of all, if you are a person in a relationship, and as Ramel likes to quote for this hypothetical, I have no friends.
Just a hypothetical here.
That you have another issue besides your relationship. Your bigger issue is how much are you depending on your partner to fulfill your needs for companionship? Oh. Because if you do not have any friends and you have a relationship, you might want to put a timer on that relationship because guess what? Spoiler alert, it's going to end.
Yes.
Because that is way too much pressure on one person to fulfill for you.
Any relationship where one of the people in the relationship is not somebody with their own friends is not going to end well.
It's not going to end well because you need to have a balanced life like you have a balanced breakfast with your fucking Cocoa Puffs.
Yes.
You
need to be able to hang out with your friends.
Yep.
And I need to be hanging out with my friends every once in a while.
Balance.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, you need that.
Not even every once in a while. It could be fucking equal. It could be fucking equal. Just because you're married or whatever doesn't mean like you can't.
But I'm saying like it.
But that is that's your
Yes.
primary problem. Now, to your actual question, I have my own friends pre-relationship. Let's say that I'm healthy in this situation. We made some friends during the relationship, right?
But I'm saying, I guess my question would be better.
Who keeps the friends?
Why? No. Why I prefaced it with you don't have friends is because
try to
I
fix
guess
it.
what I'm trying to say is
there you go. Try to band-aid that.
if the friends that you made through him become your really good friends, to the point where like if he wasn't in the picture, where you realize if he wasn't in the picture and you had met them elsewhere, they would have been like your best friends.
But that's neither here nor there because what you're in this hypothetical you've created, I've met them through him.
No, I know, but I'm saying that's how good of friends they are with you.
But I met them through him. They're his friends first.
Yes.
Then
But they're really, really good friends of yours. Do you cut that off or not?
I don't. For me personally, I don't voluntarily cut that off. I think that's so nuanced because there's a lot of details that have to go into play there. How long have we been friends since he introduced me to them? How long was he friends? Really, what was the context of the breakup? Where do they? And as friends,
what if he told you can't hang out with them?
Grow up. You don't, because again, you don't own anyone. That's not your call.
Yeah.
Unless those friends were to show up and be like, yeah, we're gonna. If he doesn't really feel as comfortable talking with you anymore, then like that's their choice. But that's the voice that actually counts.
What if he cheated on you, but and they're your good friends?
Yeah.
But they side with him.
Sweetheart, then I don't want those friends. The person, you're telling me this person. These like these are no brains. What is this? Jumpstart first grade? Like the person literally cheated on me, and you're still gonna side. But I think ultimately you're grown up. Make your own choices.
Yeah.
2, I don't really agree or have sympathy for people who are in relationships, love each other, and can't shut up the fuck about each other on social media or whatever.
True.
Break up, and now they have all these nasty things to say.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Boo Boo, you loved him for a long time.
Right.
And you talked all these great things, and now all of a sudden you have some nasty things to say about him or her.
And I guess that's kind of a more new age scenario that doesn't really show up in this movie. But social media now, you've got this whole other thing now where people are vocal about things behind a keyboard that pertain to like this, a relationship. They'll go on there and they'll talk mad shit, and then
but that's here's the thing: someone who breaks up with someone and then goes and talks mad shit about you, like after you got dumped on any kind of internet platform. I'm willing to bet my left fucking hand, the one that I write with, that motherfucker gave you clues many times.
Right.
That was his
and
character.
Actually, you're the bad one in the relationship.
No, I don't. Not that you're the bad one. I'm just saying that the motherfucker gave you clues, and I hate this mentality of, oh, now that they love me, they won't do bad things to me. You better pay attention to how they treat people generally.
Yeah.
I mean, why I say you're the bad one is like typically to me it makes more sense to me that if you're someone who's going to go on social media and bash your significant other,
you're toxic
after a breakup, then you're really the toxic one.
So I thought that you meant the other. No, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
That's a toxic human being.
Yeah, like you're the one that's the problem.
And
here.
your ego is so bruised it can't handle it. So you're going on
Yes.
this hate campaign.
Right. I would never in a million years.
No. Especially if you like hablaba maravilla before.
Right.
And because anyone who has a fucking pulse can tell common denominator here is you got dumped, you're salty about us, and now you're talking shit.
Right.
That's it. Grow a pair.
Yeah.
Breakup suck.
Yeah, that sucks. We'll end with a little bit of.
Oh, we hit the end?
No, we're not at the end, but we'll end our discussion on toxic relationships and toxic people with a good friend of ours, Scarlett O'Hara. I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get into this too
because it's
deep,
too long.
It is a really long movie.
So we just got to focus on the relationship
yes,
part.
Yes, and it is a very long. It's a classic. It's and there's also this movie can be part of a conversation for another theme.
Yes.
Other themes.
a lot of shit that goes
Listen
on.
to
in
the
this movie.
listen to the tone. We're
racism,
talking about racism. Yeah.
Racism.
Everything.
It's placed in cinema in the
It's just
1930s.
placed in cinema.
Yeah.
Like it just this movie is considered to some one of the greatest movies of all time.
I don't.
It's a movie.
I was gonna say, like, ever since I saw it, and again, I haven't seen this since I was really young, so probably that's
Yeah.
why I guess the way I look at it is kind of skewed. It's like I don't see what all the hype was about.
Yeah,
Not gonna
and I get that. That's fine. The only reason I even say that is because it has made the most technically, if you add inflation, the most money of all time, right? Compared to movies now. But this movie, the part of this movie that we want to bring up today, it's particularly pertaining to Scarlett O'Hara, the character played by Vivien Leigh, and what's his name, Clark Gable.
Why was I thinking Chadwick Boseman? That was the name that came to my mind.
Clark Gable's a great guy.
Plays Rhett, something Rhett. I forget his full name. So anyway, very, very quickly, this is a movie about Georgia during the Civil War, the antebellum South.
Yes.
When the biggest complaint about the movie that a lot of people have is that it creates this perception that the South was so beautiful when in reality it was awful. There was a slavery everywhere.
Right.
It was terrible.
It romanticizes.
It romanticizes
it. That's a great way to put it.
But what we'll focus on here is the character Scarlett O'Hara, who's the main character
The most
here,
Aries bitch I've ever seen.
who is a girl. When the movie starts, I think she's like probably just turning 18 or just under 18.
Yeah.
Just around the age where girls at this time were finding husbands and getting married, starting lives in this period of time.
Right.
You realize she comes into the picture, and holy shit, she's very arrogant. She knows that she gets all the boys' attention. She goes to this big party in the beginning where she purposely is like flirting with all these the guys there, including, for example, this is how toxic she is, the husband or the soon-to-be, the guy that likes her own sister. Something Kennedy or whatever. Also, she has a very large crush, infatuation, whatever you want to call it, is in love with this guy named Ashley.
I forgot the last name, but Ashley, because that's
Yeah.
all you heard her say up for the whole fucking
It's
movie.
like Ashley, like Tenenbaum.
It's like Wilkes or something like that.
Wilkes,
Yeah.
Ashley Wilkes. That's what it is.
Tenenbaum.
Tenenbaum.
You got Tenenbaum from Wilkes.
No, it's because
That Tenenbaum.
the
Yes.
plantation is called something with a T.
Not Tenenbaum.
It's like
Tara.
Tinkerbell.
Not Tinkerbell.
No, it's
Tara.
not. No, Tara is her plantation. His plantation, where they go to that party,
is like 12 acres.
12 oaks.
12 Oaks. Tenenbaum from 12 Oaks. Ramel's starting to sound like a Latina mother trying to understand
Lord
characters in English television.
So anyway, so they go to this plantation, right, where they're having this big party. Ashley is there. But the reason they're having this party is because Ashley is going to announce that he's getting married to this girl, his cousin. But, we'll talk about that another
That's the
podcast.
South.
So anyway, Scarlett, you see, is visibly upset. She's pissed off about this because she likes this guy and whatever. She gets to the point where while this party's happening, they're talking, all the guys are talking about the Civil War. They're going to enlist because they need to fight the Yankees, the dirty Yankees.
Dirty Yankees.
So
Try to hone in a little bit more on the relationship stuff.
yeah, in this whole process, one of the guys that's there at the party before they go to enlist,
Clark Gable.
No, before they go to enlist, she gets proposed to.
Oh,
and
by the
says
weasel.
Yeah, by
no
some,
jaw.
by
No
some
jaw
guy.
Yeah, the
right?
no jaw guy.
She gets proposed to by no, that it is the cousin of the girl that Ashley's marrying.
All right, this is getting too convoluted.
Yes.
She gets proposed to by a weasel.
By some
she
guy,
doesn't
right.
want to fuck the weasel.
She doesn't want him, but she says yes because she's jealous of Ashley and wants to make Ashley jealous.
Yes, and then he dies immediately when he goes to war.
Yes, they all go to
That's
war.
right.
And the guy dies. She's already a widow once.
First
at
time
the
widow.
age of like 18.
Yeah.
Time goes by. Civil War happens. Ashley comes back for the first time. She realized, like, he tells her, this is where Ashley's sketchy. And where he adds to her toxicity. Because he
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 sends
makes
mixed
her
signals.
he makes her feel like
But here's the thing.
there's something there.
You know what though? Yes, it's mixed signals, but you can't. First of all, I don't want to make this excuse. I do not
At
want.
no point does he say, I love you. Like,
But hold
you know
on,
what I mean?
I don't want to contribute to machismo, but like when if a beautiful woman keeps throwing themselves at you like that,
Right.
I mean, yes, the right thing for him to do as a married man would be like, you need to cut this the fuck out. Like, I'm married, you got to stop. But so in that sense, yes, he is stringing her along. But I still think the onus is on her more than anything.
Oh, no, absolutely. She's blind. She's blind the entire time.
She's not. She is.
She's blind to the. To,
I wish
to
there
her
was a better
obsession with
word
him.
in English for capricho.
I'm sure there is.
Tengo
don't know
capricho.
how-
So
I just don't know the
this
word.
word, I'm sure there's an English word. I just don't know what it is. It's when you want, where initially perhaps you wanted something innocently, but once it became evidently clear you cannot have it,
Right.
the desire for it becomes a stubborn and blind obsession, as
Yeah.
opposed to a genuine feeling of true care or want. It now has just become your ego obsessed over wanting to have it no matter what.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what that. So Fico, that's your Spanish word for the day.
Write that down.
Write that one down.
Google Translate has it as whim.
Whim, but I don't. It's not a
not a
whim.
whim.
It's
Yeah.
not the same as a. It's not a whim. It's something more intense than that. It's
Um,
so she.
Yeah.
She goes on to try to revive her plantation, to try and make money, to never need again, and this is still all in the pursuit of Ashley.
Yes,
she gets the
correct.
money. She gets the mansion. She even manages to find a guy during this whole. He's plotted around throughout the film. Clark Gable's character,
Rhett.
Rhett. And Rhett doesn't give a fuck about anything.
Throughout this whole movie, before they actually get into a relationship at the end, there's this guy Clark Gable was playing. His name is Rhett, and he shows up randomly throughout the movie in the beginning, at different parts of her life, and you can tell that they have a chemistry together, that they kind of like vibe, because they're both very similar in that they're both that like very selfish attitudes.
Right.
She's very selfish towards herself. He doesn't give a shit. He even tells her like, I'm not a marriage type. I'm not getting married. I don't do that. But he clearly wants to like get with her because throughout the whole time he's like, asking her to kiss him and all this shit.
Yeah.
So we get to the end, towards the end, where this is after the war's ending or ended. The Yankees have taken over Georgia, Atlanta particularly, and she is trying to continue her rise back to normalcy because everything got destroyed. And what happens? She sees Ashley. Ashley doesn't want anything to do with her. He tells her once again, like he told her in the beginning of the movie, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm married to, now I can't think of her name.
I forgot to.
Like Melanie. Melanie is what it is.
Is it Melanie?
Yes, it's Melanie.
All right.
Because Scarlett calls her Melly the whole time.
Oh, okay.
And so then Scarlett gets angry because she's like, fuck, what do I do? She then turns out, okay, boom, she got the house back, great. She needs money. She has no money. So what does she do? She then goes to look for money. She asks Rhett, who she knows is rich, for money straight up. Hey, give me money. That's how selfish she is. She doesn't give a fuck. Hey, give me money, and I'm not going to give you shit. He's like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to give you shit. So then she goes and gets married to the guy that her sister likes and was going to marry.
Unreal, honestly. Just unreal.
Disgusting. Just insane.
I
But
don't.
why she needs the money. She's doing what she has to do. It is what it is. Tough loss for the sister. But hey, he also jumped at that.
The guy.
The guy.
Yeah,
Like,
which
hey,
is why I'm
dude,
saying.
did you really like the sister that much? Because you were pretty quick to jump on this marriage.
That's why I'm saying I don't really judge. I mean, look, she's the eldest of what's left.
yeah.
She's,
Her father's dead. Her mother's dead.
Yeah, like, she has responsibilities.
Yeah.
If she's the one who's, I'm not trying to excuse the shitty thing she did to her sister.
Right.
But at the same time, also for the sister, like, why don't you leave?
True.
Well, I mean, this is this is like the period of time where, like in the South, girls didn't really do. Their
Oh,
own
you're right.
thing.
No, you're right. But even so, a little bit to Scarlett O'Hara's character, even though it's not what women were supposed to do, she was doing it.
Right.
I think ultimately, right, and Clark Gable's around like the money situation.
Yeah. So Clark leaves. He goes back to the ward. She stays married to this guy. This guy dies.
Yep.
So she's now twice widowed.
Wow.
And things are not looking great, but she now owns a company because the guy that she married had his own store, was starting a company.
And then she started her lumber
She's
business.
making
She's
some
rich
money.
again.
She's
already
great.
rich.
She's chilling. So now that she's not looking for money and to fix her life, Rhett comes back into the picture. They then get together. Right?
They get together, but the context of their relationship is also in that nebulous. He presents everything as I still don't care and I'm still whatever, but you're also like that. So why don't we just get married?
Why don't we hook it up? Right.
Because we both think most of the constructs of society are bullshit.
Right.
And so because we have that similarity, let's just jump on the same boat and have a good time.
Right. And by this time, Ashley has told her a number of times, hey, I'm not gonna get with you. Like I have my honor. I have to stay with fucking Melanie.
Right. And so she's like, well, fine. Also, she can't avoid the ka-ching
Correct.
of how rich Rhett is.
Yeah, because Rhett also says, hey, I'm a millionaire. I'll give you whatever the fuck you want.
So she's like,
I'll
absolutely.
build you a better plantation, a bigger one.
a bigger, better Terra.
So
and
she's like, fuck it. Well, why not?
so she jumps on board. She gets married to him. And for her, it is very much a business deal. She's not in love with him. And Rhett knew it from the beginning, too. But Rhett, the thing is, for someone who says he doesn't care about anything.
I disagree with you there, though. I don't think that she knew that there was love there because she was so obsessed with the Ashley thing.
Well, that's what she says at the end of the movie, right? She realizes, but how did she get there? When she marries Rhett, at that point, I don't think she's in love. She has any love for Rhett when she accepts the marriage.
I don't think that she has. But
It's
I don't
after.
think that it's. I don't think that it's a completely blind marriage proposal. Yes, like she did with the first two guys.
Right. It isn't like
This one was way more like, okay, I do like him. He
does.
is rich.
because he knows how to insult her.
Right. So there's something there. There's something way more there than her other marriages.
And it also makes sense. Why? Because all the guys you saw at the party at the beginning fawn over her.
Yes.
The two
Yes.
guys that she married first were bitches.
Yeah.
And then here comes this guy who throws shit in her face, isn't afraid to call her out on her bullshit.
Right.
His first, and this is also important to note, his first encounter with her, which was by accident, she didn't know that he was on the couch, was him seeing the real her. His first impression of her was the real Aries Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah.
He didn't see the bullshit fakeness. So that's why he was able to call her out throughout the film. Is that I already saw you for what you were, and I know that all this is an
calls
act.
him not a gentleman, and she's like, "You're not a lady.
You're not a lady.
Get the fuck out of here, bitch."
Which makes them a perfect match for each other.
Very true.
They're because of how similar they are. I do agree, because as she says by the end, I did love him. I just didn't know that. I'm a personal corny ass believer that you can be in love with someone and not know that you're in love with them.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
agree.
And I think it can only snap into realization sometimes when it's threatened to be lost or you have lost it.
I mean, what other reason would there be for it to come up in that unless you are going to lose it? You know what I mean?
Right. That's when it
Like
shakes
a
you to
loss
realize.
is when you don't know what you have to, you lose it.
You lose
you
it.
know what I mean? So
oh, Ross and Rachel. Was that what you were about to say?
no.
Oh, God damn it.
But yeah, but no, I mean that's a good example.
When she was going to go to Paris and stuff like
Correct.
that. Yeah, that's a great. So, and in this situation, it's only once Red is clearly done.
Yes.
Unfortunately for her.
Right.
And also, it comes. I think the movie. What I liked about Gone with the Wind. By the way, we didn't say that's what we were watching.
I did. We did.
I thought we did.
Did we say
Yeah,
we did?
yeah.
Okay, I thought we didn't. Oh, sorry. There's so many messages to this movie, and I think one in particular is the danger of boundless desire. She kept wanting without a limit.
Right.
She kept wanting without gratitude.
Right.
She kept wanting without ever taking a pause to consider anyone else. So if you're in a constant state of consciously wanting, no matter what you obtain, you're still going to be in the energy of want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be able to pause, look around you, and have a reflection of gratitude for what has arrived.
Correct.
And
For what you do already have.
for what you do already have. Right. And by no means, anyone listening, am I saying if you're in a shitty economic situation, am I saying like, well, I better be happy with this? And I by no means say settle for a reality.
Right. No,
you just have
no,
to,
no.
But you should be able to accept and appreciate the glass half full elements while still trying to better the situation.
Correct.
But I think in her case, where she became literally like the richest fucking woman on earth.
I mean, that house, the plantation that he builds her is fucking massive.
Yeah.
She got everything she ever wanted, but she never had Melly. That's her name, right?
Is Ashley's wife,
Yeah.
who's like
she never
the
had
saint
Melly's
of the
honor.
fucking movie.
She never had Melly's honor,
Yeah.
and I think that is actually a quality. This is what 1939.
Yeah.
I think that's still something you find rare today.
Oh, I know. My favorite character in the entire movie is Melanie. Or Melly.
I think my favorite scene in the movie is when the badass Clark Gable kicks her into the front door and be like, "You're going into your party by yourself, bitch."
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And when she comes to the door, Melly's reaction is immediately she knows, how do I squash this? I take her by the hand, stand at her side, and say, please, won't you help me introduce all of my friends?
Doesn't bash
Scarlett.
her, doesn't do anything, even though at this point everyone in the party thinks that
She's a slut.
That she's a slut and that she tried to hook up with Ashley or
Yeah.
Ashley hooked up with her. So
And he did the right thing to squash it.
Yeah.
But she did the right thing to squash
Right.
it. By standing with her and having be like, can you help me introduce all of my welcome all my guests? She's telling you, I'm okay with her. Now you all have to be okay with her.
Right.
Because
And take a
I'm
chill
squashing
pill
the
to-
beef.
yeah, right.
Because if I don't have a problem, you can't have a problem.
Right.
So,
then you kind of have this continuous.
but Clark Gable, and because while we're almost, I don't know if we're almost at time, and while we're on the theme of toxicity, Rhett and Scarlett's relationship, though nonetheless, was toxic.
Yes, that's what. Oh, and that's what I was going. My next and last point was going to be. Once they get together, that is the toxic relationship of what we're talking about. In that it's just constant back and forth. It's a constant fight between the two over stupid petty shit.
And but neither of them accepting where the other is.
Neither one accepting is the other one. Right. And it isn't until the end where she realizes that, holy shit, this whole time, like, I've loved him. And throughout all this bullshit, he kept sticking around.
Right. Until the end.
Because he did love her.
He did love her, yeah. But want to know what a great thing about that ending scene, though, when he was done?
Yeah.
And I think it's a really powerful lesson. You're done when you're not fighting anymore.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Correct.
Because all they did was fight when he was still in it.
Yes.
But once you're completely out of it, truly when you're out of it and you don't feel something for anyone
You don't
anymore,
even want to fight.
You don't want to
Yeah,
fight.
it's
You don't
exhausting after
care.
that.
Yeah, you don't care enough.
You're
Yeah.
just like, do you?
So then at the end, because he sees, at this point, he's already almost checked out. They've lost their daughter.
God, they did. Yeah,
They've
that
lost
was
their
fucked up.
daughter.
That was really the biggest tragedy that befall them. Was
there was
losing their
another.
daughter.
There was the tragedy, not the tragedy, but there was the issue of her getting caught hugging Ashley.
Right.
That was a whole big
Which
thing.
back then was like a whole cheating
Right.
thing.
So he goes through all that, and then at the end, when he thinks, all right, this bitch like has treated me like shit for however many years, blames me for the kid dying, even though she was a trash mother.
Right.
Even through all that, he's still there. He goes to Ashley. He hates Ashley because of the jealousy that he has, that she's been consumed by him, their whole relationship.
Right.
He still goes to his house when his wife is dying, out of respect for her, because the wife, Melanie, it was the saint, and he loved Melanie.
Yeah.
He goes there, and then she sees Scarlett go and grab Ashley and hug him after she came out of the room talking to Melanie, when Melanie had told her, hey, go, please take care of Ashley for me, since she's dying. So it was just her reaction of going out there and hugging him because of the loss of Melanie. But he sees it, and he goes, fuck, this is never going to end.
Right. Yeah.
It's never going to... He didn't know what the conversation that was in there. He doesn't know the conversation that she had with Ashley. That Ashley telling her, hey, you have to stop this. I'm not ever going to love you. Even now, after Melanie's dead. He doesn't know that. Why? Because he's seeing that, and he's seeing this is a recurring fucking thing. At that point,
right.
that was the last straw. He's done. He's out.
I also want to... Something else that it just occurred to me, and I think it's something that people... Maybe... I think a lot of people struggle with, because right now, I think, in whatever context, we deal with things in black and white. Clark Gable's character, Rhett, what I really appreciate about him in this movie, and I think a lot of male leads did this in a lot of these like kind of romancy films way back when, we have this false idea that to be vulnerable is to lose one's dignity in a scenario. He was in the movie. What I appreciate about his character is that you can do both at the same time.
Right.
You can be vulnerable and honest about how you feel about someone, and you can still maintain your dignity as an adult person. He didn't grovel for her.
Right.
He was always trying, and especially at the end.
The first time he got pissed at her, he was like, "Fine, fuck you. I'm taking the kid, and we're going to London."
That was a little bit destructive of a move. I mean more so for the end, when he's just like. He really is laying out all his feelings about her. Like, I would have done this for you. Like, I felt all of these things. But now I just...
I mean, he says that to her also after the kid dies, and then she's sitting outside, and he sits down.
Oh, right.
He's like, you know, I mean, like...
Yeah,
we got to keep this going. You know what I mean? We got to fight through this.
I think to loop back to 500 Days of Summer in terms of when we talk about serendipity and its moment and how they're moments, I also think you can't take those things for granted either. You got to appreciate how people are loving you, and if people are loving you, and like really give them the time and space around you, and then at the same, don't take it for granted,
right? And
be honest. And I think for her it was also her fault. Like, why are you carrying this thing of this marriage around if you're not into it?
Right.
Yeah, that's really the lesson of today is
or just have a really great toxic relationship, make a movie out of it, and let me watch it. Like, because I like a good toxic. I like a good Ronnie Sammy scenario.
They're the OG.
Honestly, get me a movie on that. Give me like a freaking little mini series on MTV. With actors and stuff about that, I'm in.
I think they are the GOAT.
They're the GOAT.
Toxic
of all time.
I don't think that there has been on television a better toxic couple than Ronnie and Sammy.
And it's so great to watch.
Oh, yes, captivating television.
Great television. You just get a good snack, a drink, and you watch a
Jersey Shore seasons 1 through 3.
The Holy Grail season 3, because that's the throwing the bed. No, season 3 is.
Oh no, that's when they come back.
And they're the bed. He's throwing the bed. She's on it and like fucking up her.
Doesn't the letter come out in season 3? Or is the letter
the what?
The letter come out in season 2?
No, that's season 2.
So they write it while they're
in Miami. But Miami's also gold. It's just gold.
It's all
because
good.
They're
all good.
God, what a great program.
Remember being alive back then?
Watch the Jersey Shore if you're looking for more important relationship that's toxic that you want to give, like, you want an example of a perfect one, it's Ronnie and Sammy, the Jersey Shore.
Guys, if we ever figure out YouTube, we got to do like as we're a Jersey-based podcast, we got to do a Jersey Shore watch along.
I literally do it almost every night by myself, so I'm just joining me.
I would love to just do a good Jersey Shore watch along. That'd be a great series.
All right, boys. Well, that was good.
That was fun.
Don't ask me what next week is. I forgot.
I'm pretty sure next week is Aliens.
Sure.
And next week is Aliens, I think. There was one tidbit of information that I wanted to quickly discuss before we leave.
Did it have something to do with Batman?
Save it for next week. What's
Did it
that?
have anything to do with
Thank
Batman?
you, Pico. We almost lost him.
It was
At the buzzer.
It actually did have to do with Batman. It was the fact that HBO Max, now I remember, is creating a series, and Matt Reeves
Yeah, I hate this
is
shit.
doing it,
Yeah,
and
fuck
they're
this.
doing Gotham City. It's like, what the fuck?
I don't
Why
care.
are they doing that?
I don't know. They're wasting money. I hate this shit.
What a waste.
Stop-
we
stop
don't need to
doing that.
see Gotham City and crime. I don't give a shit.
I don't care about the Gotham City Police Department.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't
about
give
that.
a fuck about that shit.
Use your funds to
Yeah.
give me more superheroes.
Right. But hey, it is what it is. What we got.
God damn it.
All right, boys. We'll see you next week.
Until next time.
Later.
Peace.
That was good.